Alright, I think we are live. At least, we might be. What I should probably do is go and quickly check that link and and make sure it's all good. Hang on, let's see what YouTube says. Yeah, YouTube says we're live. I mean, that's promising, I guess. Say hello in the live chat if we are live and good to go. And what a time for the rubbish truck to decide to show up. Okay, so the $1,000,000 question is why have I got a different link then? Have I gone and screwed this up somehow? Have I gone and screwed this up somehow? I have. Alright, well we'll swap that over then. I will make a message and tell everybody the link was wrong. And let's get this underway. Alright, so let's talk about some DigiByte stuff. That was actually really clever of me, not having the right live link. It's probably less than ideal, but what can you do? This whole new streaming setup that YouTube have done is... It used to be so much easier. I don't know why it changed. I probably just need to figure some shit out, but whatever. It is what it is, and apparently I still don't know how to use it, so... let me just quickly go quote tweet and go... Yeah, I buggered up. Alright, now we're good. So... Thank you everybody for joining me. Hit me up with any questions that you might happen to have. There's a bunch of things that we are going to talk about, so what I should probably actually do is let's... Oh look, yes, swaps me around. Let's start bringing some stuff up here and show you a little bit about what's actually been going on in terms of the RandomX stuff that we've been doing. So what I can do is bring this up. Let's pop this up here in the corner. How's that looking? Yeah, that should be okay. Let's zoom in a little bit. That looks a little bit better. So, just to give you a bit of an idea, I will show you some of the stuff that we've been doing with RandomX. Now, what we can do is, let's bring up a new Chrome window as well. And let's bring this up here. That'll do us. Alright, so if you want, we can go releases, and we'll grab this, and let's pop it in the live chat. There we go. So, in the live chat, let's quickly edit this one. We'll go links for today. Let's get some of this stuff underway. Now, the links will be also in the description. I'll kind of edit that and tweak a little bit as we go, but let's pop this in the live chat in case you want to have a little bit of a play around with it. So, hi from Mexico. Cool! Hey, welcome, man. Awesome. It looks like we are live in the chat here. Now, the theory is, what we should be able to do is if I zoom in a little bit to make it easier to see, we should be able to come down here. We basically click on this. It's going to pop up. And that's it, it's done. So, if we bring this up, so I've got WinRAR, you can basically go in here, grab the files, and throw them on your desktop. Should be nice and easy. I've already got this up somewhere else, I think. Yeah, here we go. Let me just go and sort this one, and we'll bring this up here to show people. Now, the theory is you should be able to simply right-click on it. So I mentioned this actually over here. So the first time you do it, you need to right-click on it and choose Run as Administrator. Not too difficult, but it will basically improve things. You can technically run it without that. It's not recommended though, because you do get a 50% performance boost by doing so. Let me just grab my cuppa here. A cup of tea, alrighty. So, what mining will basically amount to in the future is you can come here, or somebody will send you a link, you basically click on it, you download it, you drag it to your desktop. Now, we've seen this part all before. In theory, though, all that you should need to do is if you edit this and simply paste your address in there. You shouldn't actually need to go through and type stuff out like I did in the past. This should include it all with it, so you can simply double click on it. It's going to come up here. Now we can see I've got the pool, the Stratum server on the background here as well. Now my video is going to turn to custard here, just for a little bit. But we should see this start to get some stuff real soon. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to stop that just so that it doesn't carry on going. But you saw it kind of stream past on the screen. All that's really required is that you come in here and you edit your address. Now, you can obviously go and tweak a bunch of stuff. You can go and use a different pool. So we could come in here and we could go mining.digihash.io or something like that. It's not up, so don't go using that. But just to give you an example, it's that simple to go and change the server. Now, a lot of this work is because one of our developers has been doing a ton of stuff in the background, basically making it compatible. Now, by compatible, I mean that it will work with DigiByte and basically any Monero mining software straight out of the box, really. There shouldn't be anything additional that needs to be done, which is actually really cool, and I think that's going to lower the barrier to entry in terms of the setup of other mining pools and things like that. It's going to mean that there's not a whole lot of work effectively being repeated, which is pretty cool. Just saying, hey there, we've got Genie Kid, The Ghost, Blind Dave, NZ Arborist Bryce, fellow Kiwi, welcome, mate. Yeah, and so I mentioned this a lot in the presentation recently. So what we're trying to do with this is lower the barrier to entry for people to get started, for people on different hardware to mine, for the different mining pools and the likes to also participate in this. We want to further distribute and I suppose just overall improve that onboarding experience. I think there is a lot that we can do which will make it easier to get people involved. And I talked a little bit about that, and I think that's actually really quite powerful. The fact that we can do that, the fact that we are not just 100% ASICs, the fact that you can or will very shortly be able to mine on your CPU, on your GPU, and things like that. We've got more people saying hey in the chat. Welcome, it's good to have you here. But I think that's actually super important, and I think this is going forward going to be one of the real differentiators for DigiByte. Perhaps what I should also do is, let me bring something up here. I'm presuming that everything's kind of synced back up now that I've stopped the mining there. But what I will do is let's go and I'll show you a little bit about what other things we have been working on, because I think this is pretty cool. So we are zoomed in a bunch here as well, but that's all right. So this here is the ProgPow branch. So what you can do is if you go to github.com digibyte-core/digibyte, you'll basically get taken to here, and you can see we've got all of our historical releases and branches and things that we didn't even release, such as 8.19, for example. We've kind of skipped over that. We're now going straight to 8.20, which is also going to include ProgPow and RandomX. So in here, this is something that if you are technically inclined and you're curious, you can come along and actually give this a bit of a whirl now. But what I should do is bring up the releases here. Because I want to talk about what's coming, what will be arriving real soon. So if you do have any questions, throw them out in the chat there. Happy to answer them, happy to go over a few bits and pieces and things. I've had a few things messaged to me in Telegram, so I'll try and get to those as well. But what I will do, let's go and bring over, these are the draft release notes. Maybe we even just like, let's full screen this. How terrible is that looking? Yeah, you can't see anything. Let's throw it on the left here. That's a bit better. Okay. So if I zoom in, people should be able to see it, I'm hoping. It looks all right on my screen here. Let's give that a whirl. Now, these are draft release notes. As you can see, there's nothing, edited 2 hours ago. Details of new release and summary will go here. So to give you a bit of an idea about what's actually coming, what we are bringing in the new release. So there's a bunch of stuff from Bitcoin Core, and we summarize that at the beginning here. But there's a bunch of DigiByte specific improvements that I kind of want to talk a little bit about. So we've got a much faster initial sync now, which is really cool. So there's been some optimization around the way that you, because we've got, hang on, how many blocks are we actually at? Let's bring that up. Let's look at DigiStats. Let's bring up DigiStats. Okay, so we're currently at 13.9 million blocks. That's a lot of blocks. We're gonna hit 14 million real soon. Awesome. So that synchronization process, though, although you're only doing 20 gigabytes, give or take, worth of data, it can take a wee while. And so this much faster initial sync is going to basically go out and it's going to say, hey, all right, I need this much data, and you're going to ask a bunch of different people for it rather than kind of hitting one person and waiting and things like that. So like we mentioned here, we prefer the faster peers rather than slow ones. I should actually probably clarify that. Prefers faster peers rather than slow ones during the synchronization and other minor improvements. So this is going to be really cool. If you're firing up the core wallet for the first time, we're going to basically speed things up a whole bunch and it will download faster. Everybody's happy. Yay. Quick question here. Can DigiID be used as a way to secure and count votes? Could it kill voting fraud? There are a lot of reasons why I'm not a fan of blockchain-based voting, and I'm not convinced in general, but for those who do like blockchain-based voting, you don't even need DigiID. You could use DigiID to sign into a centralized website, but overall you would basically sign a message or something in general. So sort of yes, sort of no in that respect. Are atomic swaps available for DigiByte? Yes, I did my first one back in 2017. I swapped Litecoin with DigiByte way back when. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll carry on going down this list here of some of the upcoming improvements. So we've got Quick Index, which we're enabling by default. Now, this is going to provide significantly faster startups. So if you're like me and you'll occasionally restart your PC, you fire up the core wallet for the first time, it can take ages. Or if you're on an even older PC, sometimes it can take sort of 10, 15, 20 minutes if you are on a rather old PC. So Quick Index is going to speed things up quite significantly. It's going to mean that when you load it up, it's not doing a whole lot of math each time effectively. But it will use a little bit more drive space. So at the moment, we're talking 350 megs, so half a gigabyte. We'll probably use an additional gigabyte over the next decade. Is it really that bad in the grand scheme of things? Probably not, but it's super fast, which is really cool. So you'll notice we've already got much faster initial sync, much faster startups. Now what we've also done is we've replaced HashMap with Btree, which is some internal stuff, but long story short, what it means is DigiByte's going to use less memory, which is cool as well, because if you have 4 gigs of RAM, which is, kind of on the lower side these days, it will still work for you, which is pretty cool. So Yoshi's been working on some stuff there, and we've been trying it out a little bit. It's pretty cool. It does make quite a difference for the memory usage. I think it was somewhere around about 30 to 40% less memory. So, in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty freaking cool. MadMT has asked, is there any halving for DigiByte? No halving. What I should do is if I bring up, I'll chuck you a Medium article where we can... Why does Medium not like me very much? I can't even log into it half the time. DigiByte halvening schedule. I'll send you a link. You can have a little bit of a read up there as well. But the short version is no, we don't. Every month we reduce the block reward by about 1.12%, I think it is. Anyway, carrying right along though, removed RBF. Now, a few people know about replace by fee. This is specifically important if you are Bitcoin and a lot of your transactions don't go through because of reasons. Now, what RBF lets you do is lets you kind of tack on additional fees afterwards and hopefully get your transaction pushed through even faster. Now, with DigiByte having 40 times faster blocks than Bitcoin, we effectively at the moment have 40 times the capacity. So let's say, for example, you can do 3,000 transactions per block on Bitcoin. You can still do 3,000 transactions per block with DigiByte, but you're not doing 3,000 every 10 minutes. You're doing 3,000 every 15 seconds. Just rough math, for example. So we're removing replace by fee because it doesn't play nice with Dandelion. So Dandelion and RBF completely don't get along. Speaking of Dandelion, we've made some minor changes, not really super interesting. We've removed some of the custom themes because the themes were also not playing too nice when we were trying to upgrade stuff. Again, not that big of a deal because most people don't really care too much. It's not the end of the world. Most people run DigiByte, for example. Have I got it here? I've got it here. This one. Can I bring that one up? Yeah. So for most people, they've got DigiByte basically running like this from the console. For most people, like server operators, pool operators, exchanges, all of that sort of stuff, that's how they run it. So I wanted to go back to this. Anyway, here we are. So this is kind of why we're removing the themes and things, because they're not adding a lot of value. They're light themes. I mean, they look kind of cool, don't get me wrong, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not worth it. We've tidied the test and the build process, so when you create DigiByte, when you compile it from the source code and things, the tests and other such stuff basically works a bunch better. Still not quite perfect, but it is better, so again, super cool. We've reworked AutoCrypt. It no longer depends on OpenSSL, which was removed from Bitcoin Core. So long story short, to do some of the math in Bitcoin, the way that it worked is it would use something called OpenSSL. Now this has been removed from Bitcoin Core because they don't actually need it for anything any longer. They were using it for some communication, but now they are not. We were using OpenSSL as part of the AutoCrypt algorithm, which is the same as what the likes of, say, for example, Dogecoin and Litecoin use. This has potentially been part of the holdup for why Litecoin hasn't had anything again since 0.18, because it was removed in 0.19. We're now on 0.20 Bitcoin. So I'm guessing that was where the holdup was. Now, one of the guys, Barry Styles, has gone through and reworked that, so we no longer need OpenSSL, and instead it uses the libsec P256K1, which is also included in there, which SHA-256 uses. So basically, we're getting rid of some of the duplicate code, but in this case, it's quite important that we've done this. Minimizes some of our risks, some of our exposure and things like that, streamlines some things as well. So it's actually, it's quite an achievement, and it's really awesome to see that Barry's gone through and done this. It's quite a milestone, basically. It sounds cheesy, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's cool. Just a few more people in the chat there. Amir, Cryptomatic, Crypty Girl, and Gabriel, welcome, thank you. It's good to see you all there as well. Now this is, you can see here, I've just left block X and things as blank at the moment. It's still draft, like I mentioned. So the idea here being that we want RandomX to basically come in, and it will probably replace SHA-256. Again, this is still not finalized, so this is placeholder text here. Don't get all uptight and stressed about it. Oh, you should see some of the chats I've had in the mining channel with people getting upset about that, but whatever. It's funny because SHA-256 is our biggest weakness and it needs to go. So There's a stratum patch, like I mentioned before, where RandomX compatibility to allow existing mining software such as XMRig, SRB Miner Multi, XMR Stack RX, RagerX, just that, all of that fun stuff. Actually, I think RagerX, we need to still sort out some integration with them. I contacted them about that, and they were curious, but hadn't promised it. But whatever. It's a full operating system. The idea being, like I mentioned, so what you can do is, I should grab that link again because it was a cool link in case anybody else wants to grab it and try it. You can go there, and look, the thing is if you wanted to download it now, like if you're on your PC, give it a whirl. It's going to make things chug a little bit while you are running it, so I wouldn't advise leaving it up all the time, but let me bring up this here, and let's just leave that up the top there for a bit. Let's see if anybody throws it up, like let's see if they start mining. You can just tweak the address and make it look a little bit different, and it's all on testnet, so it's not live, so it doesn't matter if it goes to the wrong place. Yeah, but give it a whirl. Now the actual, you'll see this as well, it still isn't quite finished, so it might crash, but we're working on it. We're working on it. Where were we? Okay, prog power implementation to replace Quibbit. It looks like that's going to be the one to go, and we'll keep skiing. I was more interested in keeping Quibbit myself, but just for like super minor reasons, and it's not a sword I'm willing to die on for it, so whatever. Most people seem to want to keep skiing. Cool. It's neither here nor there in the grand scheme of things. Bloom filters we've re-enabled because we need that for Android and iOS wallets. A few other little improvements here when you're creating blocks on testnet and things. It's a fair bit easier. And we've added algo stats. Actually, can I bring up... Where did my other one go? This one. So what I should be able to do is if I go... get algo stats... Oh, I can even... bring it in the corner here. So this is what it's going to tell us, is roughly how many from the last, like if I do, let's say 100 blocks, how many of those blocks were each algorithm. So it's kind of just nifty for no reason other than being nifty. It doesn't really tell us a whole lot. It's not going to change things, but it was still kind of cool to have that, so we can go, like, let's see the last 2,000 blocks. So there's been 322 sharp, 256, 323, 330, 325, 313, and 387. Now, the astute amongst you will notice that that is 6 different algorithms. That's because on testnet at the moment we've been doing things and we're basically allowing all of those. We'll tweak that in the future. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool. We've got a question: is it possible for DigiByte to have an inflation bug during an update like Bitcoin has had in the past? Yes. Long story short, DigiByte actually did have that inflation bug. We inherited it from Bitcoin Core. We were the first project to actually release that outside of Bitcoin Cash because it was a Bitcoin Cash developer that told Bitcoin Core about the bug. They then contacted a bunch of pools, said, here's the latest release, please run it. That way it's not going to cause problems for people. And most of the pools upgraded pretty quickly. They then released the details to the public like 48 hours later and basically said, here's the details of the bug. And long story short, we were vulnerable to that as well. DigiByte was the first to implement the fix for it though, and get that out and released, and then go get a bunch of like mining pools and things to implement it. So we released ours, I think it was actually like 19 or 20 minutes before Litecoin did. It was really close, but there you go, we did, and DigiByte was the first outside of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash to do it. So that's pretty cool. I think actually if we have a look, that's even in one of the Digi Facts. Let's go Digi Facts. Dun 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 dun. Index. Can I view it? No. I was sure you could click on it and view it. Maybe not. Open this file in GitHub desktop? No. That's less exciting. Let me bring this up here and Let's have a look. Give me just a moment. Let's go to DigiFacts. And then we can go images and then index. Ta-da! Here we go. That's what it's supposed to look like when it's downloaded. Cool. I think it was, if we scroll down through the DigiFacts, fees, pioneered stuff. I love how that one's a different font, because when I edited it, I didn't have that right font at the time. Where are we? It's a DigiFact. It's in there somewhere. Mentioned in the chat. If you see it scroll past, then I don't. Let's have a quick look here. Known founder. You can do smart contracts, wallets, simple development by volunteers. Can be used. Here we go. DigiByte can be used for atomic swaps. So someone was asking about that earlier, with other blockchains safely and securely since the implementation of SegWit in 2017. Where else are we? Where are we? You can build second layer. There's a mind-boggling number of addresses. I was sure we had it. Maybe we don't. First to enable Dandelion. Yay! DigiByte has had 100% uptime. One-click miner. Actually, we should fix up that one-click miner. I think that'd be helpful. Anybody can contribute. If you want to see stats, nobody knows how many nodes. Dun, 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 dun. Have I gone past it? Transactions are public. Addresses shouldn't be reused. Dun, 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 dun. I must have gone past it. I'm sure it's in there. Find it and tag me on Twitter or something, because I'm sure it's in there. The downside is, like, we can't just go and search for it, because they're all pictures. But no, whatever. I'm sure it's a DigiFact. I'm sure I put it in there, because I said Rockstar Developers or something super cheesy. I said something super cheesy like that when I wrote it. Ah, that's going to annoy me. It's in there. If anyone can find it, that would be cool. Not the end of the world, but whatever. Yeah. Do we have any other questions, though, overall about, like, kind of what's coming in terms of, like, RandomX or with ProgPower and things? I wanted to do just a little bit of like, where we're at with the core, what's happening. So maybe what I should mention is where to next. So we've still got a bunch of little, like, crossing over the T's and dotting of the I's and things like that to get things ready to go. So like I mentioned, we've still got to do a little bit with the mining here in terms of RandomX, just polishing that off a little bit more. We're going to polish off a couple more things. Now there has even been talk about a tweak to AutoCrypt. I don't know if that's going to specifically make it into DigiByte 8.20. The idea being that this would further help improve things for FPGA miners, alleviate any fears that there would be ASICs, and what I understand a few people are kind of pursuing at the moment is the idea that we will, like, overhaul it even further down the line. So as far as I'm aware, there is work underway there in terms of, like, a tweaked AutoCrypt that might make it into it. Some other things that we've got to do as well is test more mining. We need to test more building on Mac OS and on ARM-based devices such as the Raspberry Pi. Would be really cool if we could also test some mobile mining stuff, but I feel like that's not a requirement for 8.20 to be released. So that might come down the line. We might kind of do a little bit of like a bounty or something there. Who knows? We'll see. And the idea being that you could basically take your cell phone and mine straight from that. I think that would be really cool. Won't work for iOS because of Apple. So yeah, they're kind of special in that respect. When did DigiByte Summit? That kind of got canned because of the whole COVID thing. I don't know if there's anything planned at this stage for 2021. Just given the fact that, like, for me, even if I'm leaving the country, by the time I come back, it's 2 weeks in quarantine and things. It costs like $3,000, but that's the price that you pay for living in a COVID-free country, I suppose. I don't believe there is currently any plans, but who knows? I mean, we're literally, what, the 4th day in of the year? What's the lowest PC requirements to mine? You can basically do it on almost anything. One of the guys I've been talking with is doing it on a PC that's around about 11 years old, give or take. Now, it's probably not going to be profitable in saying that it's going to give him less DigiByte than the cost of the power used to create it. But that's still okay, and I still think that for a lot of people, they're going to be interested in doing that. For a moderately recent computer, sorry, I need a drink here. Nice cup of Earl Grey. For a moderately recent computer, you should be fine though in that aspect. There's no like hard and fast, this will be profitable, this will not be. You can go check out whattomine.com. Actually, let's quickly bring that up. What to mine, so if we go RandomX, I think I'm just over 10,000 hashes per second, 1,000, 10,000. Is that 10,000? That's 10,000. My wattage is a little bit more than 105. I think it's 150, or is it 120 for the 3900X? No, the 3900X does have a 105 watt TDP. Cool. Calculate. So you can do this yourself if you go to whattomine.com. So this tells me here that if I were mining Monero, which is a ballpark guide for what we're kind of looking at with DigiByte, you'll see some of the other math that I've done recently in the YouTube video, which I should actually pop up in the chat as well for people. Let's go and grab this, copy link. If you haven't already seen, I talk about it here. So this will show you that here you will make, the expectation is that after you've paid for power, if you were running it for 24 hours, you'll make about 50 cents worth. So, 25 DigiByte at the moment, not too bad. You've got the, so that's how much you'll receive, and that's after the power costs. So, that's going to obviously vary a lot, especially depending on what happens with both the Monero price, with the DigiByte price, with the number of people that start mining as a result, all that kind of thing. There's no guarantee that anything's ever going to be profitable, but just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea there. What else were we talking about down in there? There was a couple of other questions. DeFi on DigiByte. Yeah, that's doable through the likes of... Basically, DigiByte shares Bitcoin scripting language, so we have something which is literally known as script. So if we type in Bitcoin script, and bring this over, you'll see here this Bitcoin Italia link is actually really cool. It talks a little bit about it. Bitcoin script is a simple stack-based programming language. This tells you a little bit about all of the specifics and the details. It is nowhere near as powerful as Ethereum. So back in the day, what happened is Ethereum, and especially Vitalik, I think he is the single biggest contributor of libraries, or is it just Python libraries to Bitcoin? He was making a whole bunch of cool stuff that you could do on top of it, and he basically kept running into limitations and things. So this is the script language that we also share with it, which Ethereum then basically kind of took and they dialed it to 11, effectively. So you can still do a whole bunch of really cool stuff. It's not quite Turing complete, but it is good enough for most people to do most things. What other cryptos use RandomX or ProgPow? That's a good question. So what to mine shows here, we've got Quantum Resistant Ledger and Monero are both using RandomX. Let's also take ProgPow. Veil, Xano, and Zero use ProgPow. I believe that Bitcoin Interest also uses ProgPow, and there's another one that uses RandomX, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So not a lot. To be frank, across all of those, the one with the highest market cap, without a doubt, is going to be Monero. You can see this based on their hash rate compared with everything else, so it's 200 times that of QRLs. Which is interesting given if you look at the market cap differences, 2.5 billion versus 13 million. But yeah. So there are a few others that are using it. RandomX was originally built specifically for Monero. ProgPow originally specifically built for the Ethereum community, but it looks like the Ethereum community are they've kind of been like half in limbo with the proof of stake. I remember when I started mining in 2017 again, proof of stake was just around the corner. That never happened, did it? So, yeah. Yeah, don't get me started on that. Quick math. We'll probably need 2,000 to 3,000 PCs, 5,700 XT for RandomX based on current 1 DigiByte price and electricity. I did some math in the video. So what? That's for RandomX. Yeah, it's going to obviously split off. There's a good chance that we may get people doing profit switching, bouncing back and forth between Monero and DigiByte, especially given we are compatible with XMRig. So what we might find is that certain mining pools will basically just allow you to mine to your account. So instead of, like, where's this? Hang on, one sec. Let's go back to the desktop. Let's bring up XMRig. Right, so this is what a config file looks like here. So normally, when you're starting XMRig, we're telling it we're going to mine RandomX, then we're telling it this is the server and the port for the server. Instead of putting your DigiByte address like you would if you wanted to mine right now, so you could literally just double click it and it'll start. On tested at the moment, of course, but whatever. Instead, what you can do with certain mining pools that allow profit switching and the like is basically just give them your hash rate and they will jump back and forth between, say, Monero and DigiByte and what else has we got here? What was the other one? Quantum Resistant Ledger, QRL, yeah. So I don't think that we're specifically going to start off and go, there's no hash rate, we're vulnerable, there's big problems. But at the same time, I also think that even if we started off with like a dozen miners, it's still basically going to give us more security than SHA-256 is at the moment. That's the unfortunate reality about it. What I should do, actually, let me bring up the... Where did I put it? I want to show off this slide because I think it's a really quite a good slide. Dun, 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 dun. This slide here. So, just to give you a bit of an idea, if the orange represents all of the hash rate, all of the SHA-256 hash rate in the world, that's actually, you can't see it because I've gone and I've put my thing over it, haven't I? That's clever. Let's try that again. If the orange represents all of the SHA-256 hash rate in the world, that's DigiByte down there in the corner. That little black amount there, which is not a lot. Now that's to scale as well as of, I mean, we're in January now, but still. So that's nothing. That is tiny. Now, if you were to look at the likes of, say, for example, Skeen, it's actually completely the other way around, in that we would be the orange and everything else worldwide would be the black amount. So that's why SHA-256 is all but guaranteed to be the first one to go at this point. It's just not worth keeping. It doesn't bring us anything, but yeah. Halil says not RandomX but prog power. Actually, that's, yeah. I haven't done the prog power math. 2,000 to 3,000 PCs, 5,700 XTs. I'm curious to know what will happen if we have a lot of people mining with like 1060s and things like that. Because on the one hand, there was a suggestion that we reset the DAG so that we could still keep GTX 1060s that are like 3 gig mining because a lot of them have effectively stopped. I'm not too sure about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Should we reset the DAG, which would allow older and cards with less, I suppose, memory overall to mine? I mean, we could be setting people up potentially for failure in that they're mining, but it's costing them a lot more than they're making back. But if you're mining and you're getting freshly mined DigiBytes, do you really care? I don't know. That's tell me in the comments. Let me know. That's a really good question. Amir also says happy 10th. Wait, January 10th, happy 7th. No, it's the 8th birthday, isn't it? I'm sure. When did we start? 2014. So 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It is the 7th. Why did I think it was 8? Apparently my coffee hasn't kicked in. It's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but whatever. Luke asks, are we still planning on staying pure proof of work? I'm hoping the answer is yes, but I've heard speculation we will have to add proof of stake in the future. That's a really good question, and I actually really like the way that you phrased that as well. I do some math here as well in this presentation where I talk about why not proof of stake. Proof of stake sucks. You're not going to get anything. Like, you'd have to spend $8,300 to cover the cost of like renting a VPS to run a node. Quick recap: it still sucks. That kind of thing. At the moment, the short answer is no. In the future, the answer is possibly. It's not something that I'm a fan of, but it's also not something that I can rule out. Really don't like the idea of staking for a bunch of different reasons. Technical, economical, all that sort of stuff. But other people do, and I don't call the shots, so who knows what may happen in the future. Raymond says, I would like a proof of stake algorithm, or if we could just get on the Celsius wallet. Yeah, actually, Crypty Girl here is in the chat. She can post a link to a petition to get DigiByte added into the Celsius wallet. If you've got a link, throw that in there. Would it be beneficial for it to do a hybrid like Decred? So DigiByte would never go full proof of stake. What has been suggested by some people is that we swap out one of the algorithms. So we get rid of, like, let's say for example, SHA-256. This is again hypothetically in the future, and we replace that one with staking. It would never be a full, or like a 50-50. I mean, it might be a 50-50 one day. Who am I to say what the future holds? Who knows what 2035 is going to look like, to be frank. I mean, I can't even see past the end of the year. That's kind of the funny thing, right? Like, if you were to look back, I remember, so we can, if we got, where's GitHub? I'll show you a little bit of history here. We can go to 8.19. And if we look at some of the historical commits here, back in January, January, yeah, here we go. So there was a bunch of stuff going on here in January. Jared, Gary were looking at doing a bunch of different things here. But then COVID basically hit right around about that time. And I don't know about you guys, but like in January last year, at least I think it basically came on my radar around about the 27th. Like, I had no idea up until then that it was even like a thing. And no one would have predicted what happened throughout 2020. So in a similar kind of vein, I guess, is what I'm saying with who knows what's going to happen by the year 2035 when all of the DigiByte have been mined and people are relying just on block rewards from transactions, just on transaction rewards. Let's get that right. That's a really good question, and I don't know. One of the things, though, that has been brought to my attention is that we might even do like an adjustment of the emissions schedule slightly, just to kind of improve things as we get towards 2035. That's not going to happen in this next release, though, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. It's probably more of like a next year or the year after it'll get addressed, something along those lines. Do we know where to get donation wallets for the DigiByte Foundation? Looking at adding a donation directory to Chrome Wallet Digimask. I don't have those details, Brandon, but that'd probably be cool. Hit up Rudy or Rutger or Hans, info@digibytefoundation.io. Can DigiByte burn assets through transactions? Yes, you can burn your assets. It's actually really, really easy to do that. You can send your asset to, like, say, for example, the core wallet. And if you send it to the core wallet and then include that UTXO when you send it away again, it basically burns it. Now, on iOS, so I've got my handy-dandy iPhone, or iPod Touch, actually. Now, on that, we've actually got, like, a proper burn button. We will get that eventually on Android. It's kind of been lower on the priority list at the moment, though, so it is doable. Like, you can send your Digi asset to, like, Edge Wallet or Koinomi or to Trezor, Ledger, to any of the other wallets, basically, and when you then send that away again from there, that'll burn the asset as well. So that's kind of interesting, I thought, just the way that it all works. Now, unfortunately, I can't even. Let me bring this up here. We've got a little bit of fun at the moment. I've been working with Yoshi. This is my favorite. So if I tap on the DigiByte wallet, it dies. We're currently doing some testing and things. Maybe I should bring that up as well, just to show DGB Wiki. Okay, so here's the wiki, and let's go iOS changelog. Now, this is only happening because of this test version that we're doing, which is here. Faster synchronization of block headers. We'll work with the upcoming RandomX and Prog Power and support for test nets. The reason for this is we want to test it. It was the one real thing that we overlooked when we were doing the AutoCrypt upgrade. So a little bit of history, because it's kind of I got a couple funny stories here. The day of the AutoCrypt upgrade, I'm doing a live stream with Jared, and he'd been off busy working on some other stuff at the time, and so it's like half an hour to go until it goes live, and he's messaging me like, hey, can you give me a hand before we actually start the live stream? I want to get this FPGA up and running and test some stuff out. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of funny, where the network goes live effectively in 30 minutes, give or take, and he hadn't had the chance to even get his little DE10 FPGA set up. But that was cool, because I'd been testing with Mental Collapse and a bunch of other people as well prior to basically make sure everything was all going to be cool. And that same sort of testing is what we're doing for Prog Power and RandomX. Now, what was really funny, was we swapped over to AutoCrypt, and we broke the Android and iOS apps because we forgot that they do a whole bunch of checks and tests and things like that, and we hadn't built in support for AutoCrypt into Android or iOS. And so we went live, and then all of a sudden people are messaging going, why is the Android and iOS app stopped working? Meanwhile, me and the likes of Murad, Nigel, Glenn, Kegel, Rudy, a bunch of other people have all basically contacted every other known wallet provider and exchange provider and pool and Block Explorer, all that sort of stuff, and we've gone, make sure you're ready for AutoCrypt, because it's coming up. Let us know that you've got this message, let us know when you plan to do it, and let us know when the upgrade is live and you're ready, sort of thing, so that we can tick you off the spreadsheet. And we went through this huge list. There was literal hundreds of places that we contacted. But we forgot our own Android and iOS apps, and I think that's hilarious. So, bit of an oversight there. So thank you to Yoshi, because he has been working on this with me. I just thought that was a bit of a funny story. A little bit of history there that probably not a lot of people knew. That was a couple years ago now. Fun times, eh? Yeah. Some few other questions. With regulatory attention to privacy coins like Dash, Monero, and legitimate decentralized projects like DigiByte, should we gain more market share? Is that a question? I don't think that's a question. But someone did ask me about Schnorr signatures and the additional privacy that we get from Schnorr signatures. Will that be a problem for DigiByte? The short answer is no. At least it doesn't look like it. The longer answer is that if we look at the likes of Bitcoin Cash, they have already implemented Schnorr signatures, and they're okay. They weren't pulled out when we look at the likes of Abra and Bittrex recent delistings. It was specifically a bunch of different places that were doing coin joins and things. Interesting about Verge, I think, also got delisted. I'm not entirely too sure why, but whatever. Yeah, so it was mostly Dash and Monero, and I think it was because of the coin joins and things. So that was kind of interesting. It's only been from Bittrex, so who knows what the future will hold there. But with DigiByte looking to implement Schnorr signatures, same as what Bitcoin Core is eventually going to do as well. I think they're going to do it in 0.22. It should be fine. How hilarious would that be, though, if Bitcoin Core implements it, right? Picture this. Bitcoin Core implements Schnorr signatures, and then like 6 months down the line, exchanges are requested by the US government, let's say that, to remove anything that has Schnorr signatures. Bitcoin support will be gone. Like, how freaking hilarious would that be? So, whatever. Yeah, so the short answer is because Bitcoin Cash already has it, they were fine, we should be fine as well. It's not like a full privacy protection sort of thing anyway, so it definitely improves people's privacy, similar to like the way that Dandelion does, but it doesn't mask and hide everything. So, DigiByte partnering with LTO and VIDT. Yeah, VID have been building basically and storing documents on top of the DigiByte blockchain now for 2-3 years almost, I think, which is pretty cool. Do you think we'll ever add DigiSpeed back in? I love the idea of the transactions per second doubling. Blocks were getting a big security issue. Yeah, so that's the problem basically, is because if the block size keeps increasing too much and the transaction fees are too low based on the relative cost of the DigiByte, it could be effectively detrimental to the network. At the moment, given the fact that we've gone from what was roughly, give or take, say 260 transactions per second to just over 1,000 transactions per second, it's not the end of the world. Like, we're still 4 times what we were when we had DigiSpeed, and most of our blocks are quite frankly empty. Like, let's bring up chains and just have a quick look here, just because latest DGB blocks. So that's the size of it, out of the 1 to 4 megabytes, depending on a few bits and pieces there, SegWit weighting, that kind of thing. So 1 transaction, 3 transactions, 1 transaction, 5 transaction. Now, if we're doing, we should be able to store, I think it's like, give or take 16,000 transactions in a block. Let's even round it all the way down to 10,000 transactions. If we're getting 1 to 5 in a block, there's little sense in us increasing the limit. Like, we don't gain anything from it. But with the likes of Schnorr signatures, that's also going to give us approximately another 10 to 15% performance boost in terms of them being smaller, so we can fit more in. So let's say, for example, the limit is currently 16,000 transactions in one block. That would give us another like 1,500 to 2,000 on top of that. So yeah, it's still like that's a ton really in the grand scheme of things. And I understand why people were surprised it got removed. But I think it was for the best. Yeah, we'll leave it. I think it was the right choice. Is it possible for Litecoin and Bitcoin to upgrade the DigiByte characteristics? Yeah, absolutely. So back in the day, DigiByte was 60-second block timing with just AutoCrypt. Now we then we became 30 seconds. Then we became 15 seconds. Yeah, it's definitely possible. And in fact, DigiByte could even improve further and go to, like, say, a 12-second block timing or something similar. We don't gain a lot from it at the moment, and 15 seconds really does look like it's actually quite a good sweet spot. So, yeah, it's definitely doable. Like, there's nothing stopping them from implementing it, though. So, again, what I'll do, though, is I'll chuck this in just one more time. If we go to, let me bring it up here, GitHub, XMRig releases. Let's pop this in the chat. If you do want to download it, give it a whirl, fire it up, and see. Basically, you'll see. Hang on, let me bring. So this is what you'll see on your computer. Effectively mining on testnet. You're not going to receive anything on mainnet, so don't do it for days on end because it's absolutely worthless. But you will start to get. I can see my screen starting to jitter a little bit there. But you will start to get, like, this is basically testing it out, which is pretty cool. So you can see here a new job. This is all the stuff going on, which is pretty cool on the back end of things. So give it a whirl. That is effectively mining on the current testnet. What we can also do as well is if I go to downloads, let me quickly bring this up. Where's my XMRig? Let's just go. We have benchmark. So what we can also do is if I double click on this one, benchmark, we'll just go run as administrator. My video feed's going to turn to absolute custard for a second here, but that's okay. So what this is doing, basically, you leave it running. You hit the benchmark button, and then you come back like 60 seconds later. Now, if you are fiddling around and moving your PC around and things like that, you're going to get less performance out of it than if you basically just sit there and watch it. But yeah, so basically it'll pop up after just a moment here. We'll close that off. We're just going to see me going all jittery for a second because my CPU is currently working its ass off trying to do everything that it possibly can to benchmark and see how fast it will go. Now, the reason that I'm suggesting this is because, to give you a rough idea, can I move that out the way? Oh, my computer's really not happy here. This serves me right for trying to do this. Here we go, okay, because we're on what to mine. It should pop up, I'm sure. Oh, does it do it after 60 seconds? Yeah, here we go, okay. We are currently 25% of the way through here. Now, so this speed here is telling me how fast we are mining in terms of hashes per second. So the maximum that I got was 4,200. We're averaging around about 3,800 at the moment. Now, that's understandable because I've currently got this going here. So you can see I've got screen capture and things like that. So the computer is kind of busy right now. But what we can then do is we can take that, so it'll finish off. You've got your 10 second, your 60 seconds, and your 15 minutes. And then the maximum. So basically, if we take 4,200, so if I'm doing a live stream while I'm mining, let's see what happens. Do I actually even break even? Let's take off prog power. Yes, I do. So you can plug the numbers in and get like a rough idea of what you would get if you were mining Monero, which we are presuming is likely to be similar when it comes time for DigiByte, because they are basically both based on the same thing. So yeah, give it a whirl. Go and grab that. Did I put that in there? I did. A couple of other questions. Price prediction for 2021 and 2035. One DigiByte is going to be worth one DigiByte, and that's all that really matters. You'll notice that I never go out and I really talk about the price or anything. It's largely irrelevant. I'm not a big fan of the hype and the fervor, especially around day trading. People are like, yes, we've just overtaken X coin in market cap. Who cares if they're a shitcoin, and who cares if you then go back down the next day? Like, I feel like it's a real, like, hollow victory. But that's just me, and I know a lot of people are interested in it for the money. So that's totally cool if they are, and, you know, all power to them. But you won't find any price predictions from me really anywhere, I don't think. I think, though, that DigiByte will still be one of the few that does happen to be around still at the end of 2021 and 2035. It is very much, it has characteristics that basically are going to survive the test of time. I think Rudy actually put something up recently. DigiByte is one of like 4 others that has stayed in the top 100 since 2014 in terms of coin market cap. So it's got longevity, really, which is pretty cool. Does DigiByte have any reason for the SEC wanting a review of the token? No. Like, why would they? Why would they care? There's no one centrally issuing it and things like that. So yeah, there is a legal opinion going around somewhere as well that basically, for the most part, simply says this legal opinion, which was provided by lawyers, says it's not a security. So yeah, who cares really? Do we know how many a day you'll get with the 3900X? No, but based on that math that we did earlier, like, I think if I get, like, let's say 10,000, and then we hit the calculate button, so 10,000 DigiByte a day, we're going to receive, yeah, 75 cents. What's 75 cents worth at the moment? Like 50, no, it's not 50. It's like 25 to 30 DigiByte. Yeah, so, I think we should probably wrap that up now. We've been going for an hour. That's probably a pretty good place to leave it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, share this with other people if they're curious to know where we are with DigiByte, what's happening with the development and things like that. Gonna try and start doing a little bit more in terms of the update videos and things. Been having a little bit of a break over the lead up to Christmas because work was shit, really, and I just didn't feel like doing any videos or anything in the evening. But that's life. But yeah, thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Leave any comments, questions, whatever down below. I will get back to you on them. Hit me up on Twitter otherwise at DGB_chilling. I'll talk to you in the next video, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.